Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Turin here with another Warhammer Total War live battlecast. In this particular game, we are going to play the Dwarves against the Greenskins, so definitely a very tough matchup, one in which we will probably see a lot of squigs and doomdiver catapults and all that kind of fun stuff. But I think I have a secret weapon. Not sure yet, but we'll go ahead and give it a test here. So we're going to get a Rune Lord, a Runesmith, and then another Runesmith. So spamming that Rune of Wrath and Rune is really strong against squigs, biggins, all those type of units, and seems to do pretty well for just having that perpetual damage resistance across all of your troops. So we're going to go with that. Then as far as the rest of our army goes, we're actually going to get two standard gyrocopters with the kind of the steam cannon, I think that's what it is, to kind of deal with the squigs. It really solid against them. And then we're also going to get one gyrocopter with a brimstone gun. So definitely a very absurd army so far, but it seems to do okay. I play tested it quite a bit and have had pretty good results. So we're also going to get some longbeards here, and then we're just going to get a group of dwarf warriors. So there's no intended diversity here, but it just works out well with the funding of this particular army. So on top of that, we probably want to get the Grumbling Guard. We're going to get two more groups of longbeards with great weapons. We have a little bit more money, so we have an option here. We can either just get a group of miners to kind of plug up that back line and, throw out some Goblin Wolf Riders. But something that's actually really nice about this army composition is that there's not really a soft spot. Everything's pretty sturdy. Most of the units are, tanky. There's no quarrelers, there's no rangers, there's no cannons for my opponent to target. He has to go right into the kind of this mess of infantry here. So we're actually just going to get some miners, pump some chevrons, and we're going to call it a day. So let's go ahead and fire it up. So we'll see how this build goes. I've been playtesting it. Actually, one of the games I'm about to upload, so you guys will probably see it before this is out, is a game I had versus Greenskins where they just massed squigs. So their entire army, except with the exception of like 3 trolls, was squigs, and it actually worked pretty well. The gyrocopters with their bombing run in conjunction with the Rune of Wrath and Rune is really able to cut through those troops. So kind of gives the dwarves some flexibility. So I really like the Rune Lord too. That massive damage resistance rune is quite strong with the 44%, I believe it is. All the stacking of those buffs is pretty substantial. So, and again, this army is well-rounded. The front line here, they can deal with, biggins okay. I mean, biggins are monsters, but they can still fight them, relatively speaking. And then the Grave Guard, not the Grave Guard, but the Longbeards with great weapons back here, supported by the Runesmiths, are able to hold their line okay against Black Orcs. So it's a pretty decent army. And of course, the Gyrocopter with the Brimstone gun can deal with Black Orcs. You can shoot it at monstrous units. And then the other Gyrocopters are really good against lightly armored Greenskin units, whether that be Gobos or if they have Durusty Heirs, which are very popular. They cut them to shreds and can rout them really quickly. So you just usually stick, one of the gyrocopters on Durusty Heirs, chase them off the battlefield, and you're going to be okay. Well, not okay, but it's a better circumstance than a lot of matchups. So, because it's really hard to defend your back line against the Greenskins now. Doomdiver catapults, if they just spam those, that's extremely hard to deal with. So, it's not really practical with the dwarves anymore, or I've never believed it truly was, to kind of turtle and just sit there in a noob box, as they call it. I don't think it's a noob box. I think it can be a viable strategy, but it's just too risky. Against the Greenskins, they have squigs, and squigs can pretty much beat any dwarvish unit, just pound for pound in terms of pure value. So, it's a tough situation for sure. So we're going to put these guys here. We're going to put our rune squad here. I'm going to put one here. It's pretty ridiculous having essentially 4 Rune Lords in your army, but it works. It gets the job done from time to time. Not always, but we'll put these guys back here. So we're just going to keep a pretty tight formation, because if he is spamming squigs or something like that, we don't want to have like wings for him to clip. And I've made that mistake in past videos where I make my formation too wide, and then the squigs can kind of isolate and surround a group on the wings, which is definitely not fun. So we're going to start right on this hill, so hopefully you won't have line of sight with Doomdivers, and then that allows me some time to fly over there with these guys, destroy his Goblin Archers with the steam, and then drop some bombs on the other troops. So we'll go ahead and see how this goes. So let's go ahead and get started. So we can kind of get a brief gauge of his army. So I actually have less than him, so it looks like, based on his numbers, that he has a well-rounded army. When you see a pure squig army, it's usually pretty low numbers since they only come in 30, but right now I'm guessing some Black Orcs, maybe Biggins, but probably mostly Black Orcs, and then a few squigs mixed in there. That would just be kind of my rough estimate. But, I always love to bring a single group of Goblin Wolf Riders, or I did before the patch, but now squigs kind of, are just superior in every way against dwarves, because they can pierce the armor of the defenders in the back line and then get through to the squishy stuff in the center. But I just have to be really on top of using the runes. That's really big. And the defensive runes are important, but the most important thing is to get the maximum value out of that Rune of Wrath and Rune. So I wish I had like a timer that like floated above their head that like said when it was up, so I could catch that. But it's something you just got to work on. But the bombs are pretty good too against like low tier troops. It's something that's tricky to do. you know, to stay on top of, but, you know, I definitely think it's strong. So it looks like this is actually a more traditional Greenskin army, so, you know, that's good and bad. Looks like he did bring the Hammer of Gork, so we are going to get our Steam guys on this guy here, and then we're going to put the Gyrocopter with the Brimstone gun. Oh, we actually have some Savage Orcs there, which is interesting. So we're going to probably just advance up on, oh, it looks like he's shooting over here, so we can go up the hill here and just kind of take this high ground. This is a pretty sweet position, and I think my Gyrocopter should be able to finish off this thing here. Oh, and it looks like he does have some squigs, and then what are these? The Rusty Airs? Oh, heck no, those guys aren't living. So we're gonna go after these guys here, and just probably, yeah, we're gonna get up on the hill. But you can see the steam guns right here are gonna do pretty darn good against the squigs. But the Rusty Airs are definitely gonna get punished here, so I'm very happy about that outcome. So let's fly over right now, and we will do a bombing run here in a second. All right, that was pretty good. That did a lot of damage. It was a little bit of a not the best situation, but we're going to go ahead and get on the hammer, take the high ground. You can see, I'm telling you, those steam guns are really, really good against the Goblin Archers, and my opponent's retaliating, trying to shoot, you know, we should probably put those on the squigs, to be honest, but we want to make sure to, like, shatter these guys, because a really good volley from those guys can be absolutely devastating. So we're just going to get up here on the high ground, continue to rout my opponent's forces off, and it looks like we just want to wait for them to shatter, because then we can kind of switch on, and you can see the Brimstone gun's doing pretty good. I would like to be using it on Black Orcs, but, you know, it is what it is. We can't have everything we want, guys. So over here, he's coming with these guys. So let's go ahead and just get a Rune of Wrath and Rune on those. And it looks like they should be just about shattered. I'm not sure if they are yet. But we can start focusing on some Black Orcs here and just continue to keep those guys onto Rusty Airs. We get a nice little Rune of Wrath and Rune on those guys, which is pretty sweet. We'll pull him over there and just continue to punish these guys. So it looks like they're broken. So to be honest, we can probably switch off them now and just, like, pull these guys after the squigs, I'm thinking. Yeah, we probably should, because the squigs are going to be a pretty substantial threat. So they're coming over here, and do I want to get the Rune Lord? I think I do. Do I want to get, are they in range right there? So they are. So that's going to pretty much finish off that group of squigs, which is going to be pretty strong. So the big issue is going to be just weathering the storm of these Black Orcs here. So I think he had some Savage Orcs mixed in there, so we'll focus. Now we need to get these guys on the squigs. I keep forgetting about them. Definitely do not want to forget about these guys. So I'm going to put the armor-piercing equivalent on the Black Orcs over there and just keep these guys chasing these guys down. Definitely don't want to deal with any of this, because the armor piercing and the mobility, you know, all that combined together is really, really strong. So we're going to use the Rune of Wrath here. We're going to use it here as well. And just make sure to get it on all those units, which is really, really good. So yeah, the squigs are essentially offline. I mean, they got shut down pretty hard, but this other group, these Gyrocopters should be able to deal with them. So in the front line here, again, these guys only have charge defense against large foes, so you usually want to charge them in here. So we're going to charge these guys here. We're going to pull this group here and pull these guys here and leave these guys up here to help out. So right now we're going to use the defensive buffs here, which should help quite a bit against these guys. And right now, let's see how these squigs are doing. So the Gyrocopters haven't gotten a ton of work. It looks like they kind of got caught up on some of the pathing there, but that's okay. So right now we want to use the Rune of Wrath and Rune on these guys here to help finish them off. Let's see here. All right, make sure all these buffs are kind of going off, and just we'll pull these for a second and try and cycle them just a little bit. And I think the Rusty Airs are still gone. I don't think they're in the battle. Oh, man, excuse me, guys. It's been a long day, boys, long day. So we're gonna use these buffs here, just continue to go here, check here, and we'll hold those for just a second. You can see the squigs are actually getting punished by those steam guns. So I'm very happy about this, you know, and everything seems to be working relatively well against this style of army. So I think he did have some Savage Orcs back here, so we'll go ahead and switch the steam cannons onto those, which is probably going to be one of the best situations. We'll use those defensive buffs, use the Rune of Wrath and Rune, just start wearing down these units. We'll pull the Rune Lord back just a little bit, and you can see the squigs were actually defeated, so it's pretty great. So now I think we can send the rest of our forces in. We definitely probably should have done that a little bit sooner, but the Gyrocopters are kind of just posting up here, doing a pretty good job. So we'll fly these guys over here and do a nice little bombing run on these guys. Probably should use it on the Black Orcs, but I think these guys will rout off pretty quickly under those circumstances. So we want to just wait for that Master Rune. That's the real juicy stuff right there. So we're going to go ahead and use that here on these guys, which I think should do the trick. And we're going to switch here, and we have another one, so let's go ahead and use it here. Just, it's so much extra damage that you're getting out of it. And oh, that's going to hurt. Oh man, that hurts. That foot of Gork. Nobody ever expected it. So the Rusty Airs did come back, so we'll just stick a single, you know, steam cannon on them, and we're gonna actually fly these guys over and do a little bit of a bombing run here. So we'll just wait till they're nice on top of those troops. It might hit some of my own guys. I don't think so. I think we're okay, and we'll switch those guys over there as well, because those are definitely a very, very important target to get rid of. So my guys have had pretty perpetual buffs this entire time. I've been cycling them, relatively speaking. Probably not the most effective, but there's a lot going on, you know, and you really need to, you know, account for a lot of things. But look at this big, healthy blob I have back here. And a lot of the Black Orcs and other troops are starting to falter with their support units being chased off by these Gyrocopters. And let's see here, yeah, the Orc Shaman, he's actually pretty low armor himself, so I think we could probably focus him down real quick. So we use that, Nice 30 armor buff. We're going to use that. I think they stack. Hopefully they do, or else I'm just a complete noob. So we'll pull this guy back here. And yeah, so far so good, guys. The Black Orcs are having a little bit of trouble. You know, their support units, their squigs, their other troops. And look at the damage this does to the Shaman, which is pretty excellent. So we're going to actually fly these guys right over this Greenskin horde here. And they're dropping a nice little bomb here. And, you know, I got to thank you guys, because you guys are the ones who taught me to actually do that. Because I was so ignorant to dropping bombs before. I just thought it was terrible, but it's actually not bad at all. So thank you guys for that. So got to make sure to stay on top of using all the buffs. And even if it's not like the best time, you know, more often than not, if I don't just do it, I'll forget. Oh, it looks like my Rune Lord got a little out of position here, but thankfully a lot of the troops are routing off. So let's see if there's any good targets here. So we can probably just stick them on these fleeing units to make sure they don't come back. And actually there's the Goblin Big Boss over there. He'd be a good target. So we'll use that. Nice 44% damage resistance. So that's almost half of the damage, which is great. And oh, heck no, we do not want any of these squigs coming back. So we're going to go ahead and get a single gyrocopter on those guys. Just continue with the Rune of Wrath and Rune every chance you get to make sure that it's just constant value out of that. And the Rune Lord, he's pretty sturdy actually when you take into account all the buffs that he provides. So you can see the Greenskin forces are starting to crumble. And things are going well, guys. This isn't terrible. I don't know if it was, you know, the best army composition against the Dwarfs that he brought, but I mean, just dealing with Black Orcs and squigs alone is an accomplishment in my opinion. You can see all he really has left after the Rune of Wrath and Rune and those huge defensive buffs across the board is the gyrocopters, like we anticipated, were able to get rid of kind of the low armor troops, and you know, everything went relatively well in that respect. So right now he just has this Orc War boss who is indeed wavering. So do we have a Rune of Wrath and Rune? I feel like that's kind of wasteful. But we should probably just use that on like a healthy group here, because this guy's already broken essentially. So we'll just keep chasing him. You know, we have the missile fire. Oh no, another Footed Gork. So he's been pretty good with those actually. Both have been really solid contacts, but you know, the Dwarves are, we're a sturdy folk, so things went pretty well there. So we'll use that Master Rune there, which will just immediately crush them, especially with those gyrocopters crashing down. So we want to look for low armored units like the Goblin Big Boss. He only has 45 armor. So against that, you know, he's gonna get crushed by these gyrocopters pretty hard. But he's charging in there like a boss. Let's go ahead and use some damage resistance to mitigate his charge a little bit. And do we have a steam guy here? I think we do. Yeah, we got to keep those rusty errors. And those guys are a big, you know, game breaker actually against the Dwarves. Like if they're able to focus my Rune Lord and then like get a little bit of, you know, engagement on him, it's going to be really bad for me. So right now we're just kind of finishing these guys off with the Rune of Wrath and Rune. The Rusty Airs should get finished off here, and we can actually just send them in melee. I think that should be enough because a lot of my guys are running out of ammo now. So we'll switch them to melee, have them dive in there. Use the Rune of Wrath and Rune on these guys. Just kind of continue to finish them off. My opponent's putting up a great fight. This army composition seems pretty good against the Greenskins. I think if he had Doom Divers, you know, and he could have sat back a little more, bombed me with the Doom Divers, and then, you know, forced me out. It's a little tougher to say. Thankfully, he did Vanguard the Rusty Airs, probably assuming I wouldn't have something like gyrocopters. But, you know, that was a bit of a nice thing for me, so we got to pull this guy back. Right now, I'm kind of just mindlessly blobbing after him as I talk about the match to you guys, but I don't think he has much left. He has some Black Orcs back here, but, you know, to be honest, everything should shatter here in a moment. So we'll send these gyrocopters in, just have them dive these guys, and it looks like that should finish him off. And when he wavers, the rest of the army should go. And this Rune Lord can go ahead and fight that guy. That should be fine. And if we have any Runes of Wrath and Rune, we got to constantly be checking for that. Definitely the most important thing in this particular game. And it looks like that's it, guys. So I hope you enjoyed that army composition. I think it's pretty good. I'd encourage you guys to test it out. Let me know your thoughts. I've been experimenting with dwarf builds for like the past 2 weeks and just been getting crushed by Greenskins. You know, I was bringing more traditional armies, and you know, the squigs were just running rampant. And yeah, I had like, you know, quarrelers or rangers to shoot at them, but nothing is as effective as these gyrocopters. And none of the Greenskin missile troops, like the Rusty Airs, and if he had maybe had like 3 groups, he could have put some pressure on me, and it might have been a different game. But even still, the steam cannons, you see how much damage and how quickly they routed that regiment of renown? Just imagine a regular regiment. And if I had been more active on bombing and spamming Rune of Wrath and Rune on them, it could have been even worse. So just an interesting thing to try out. So thanks again for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that dwarf cast, and I definitely have more content coming your way soon. Definitely will try and do some army guides also. I work maybe 60, 70 hours a week, so it's always a little bit of a time crunch even to just get some casting time. But don't worry, guys, it's on the way. So thanks again, guys, and have an excellent night. Take care.